Hey guys, today I'll be filling in the 2020 presidential election map based on the newest polling data that has come out of each of these states, and with just 5 weeks and 1 day left to go until the election, I will be posting this type of video every week. So basically every single Monday you'll see an updated 2020 presidential election map, and I think that with the election nearing, there's going to be a lot more changes every single week and just a lot more polls that are going to be coming out every single week as well. And so taking a look at this map right here, this is the grayscale theme. It's the first time I've used it in a very long time. You guys all wanted me to bring back the grayscale theme in the last video. Not many people really enjoyed the white theme. I thought you guys did, but we're now back to using the grayscale theme, and I've also added this donut right here. Basically, once a candidate gets electoral votes, it's going to show up on the side right there. So tell me guys if you give me some feedback on whether you guys like that donut as well, so I can make these videos more enjoyable for all of you. So starting off with the state of Alabama on this map, currently President Trump leads by 14.9%. That's going to go into the likely Trump column. If you don't know how to make my classifications, anything 15% or more is going to be solid. Between 7 and 15% is going to be likely. Between 2 and 7% is lean, and then anything less than 2% is a tilt margin. The same thing applies for Joe Biden. Following Alabama is the state of Alaska. Currently, Trump leads here by 3.3%. That's going to go into the likely Trump column. This is a state that he carried by 14.4% 4 years ago, so quite a steep decline in his support here in the state of Alaska, followed by the state of Arizona. Currently, Biden leads here by 3.6%. This is a state that Trump won by a similar margin in 2016, and a state that has basically shifted to the left by over 6% in 2020. State of Arkansas is the next 6 electoral votes. This is former President Bill Clinton's home state, and currently Biden is down 2 points here to President Trump, according to the only one poll that has come out this entire election cycle. I'm going to put it into the lean column for President Trump. I think it's definitely going to be stronger than 2% for the president, but that's what the polls are saying right now. State of California, Biden leads by 31.4%, so that's very solid for the former Vice President. California, one of the most liberal states in the entire country, followed by the state of Colorado. Biden leads here by 10.1%. In the state of Colorado, 9 electoral votes. I think the Democrats are definitely going to have a lot of success in this state, and in the past, this used to be a Republican stronghold. The Democrats are expected to flip the Senate seat here, as well as Joe Biden is expected to wildly outperform Hillary Clinton, who only won this state by around 5% 4 years ago. The state of Connecticut, currently Joe Biden leads by 20.8%, definitely in the solid Biden column. And then the state of Delaware, this is Joe Biden's home state. He has served as a senator from this state for 36 years before joining Barack Obama and becoming his vice president. State of Delaware, Biden leads here by 21 points. And then the District of Columbia, there's currently no data. We're going to fill in all of these no data states at the end of this video. Next, the state of Florida, 29 electoral votes. This is the third largest state electorally, and currently Joe Biden's up 1.8%, so that's going to go into the tilt Biden column. State of Florida has definitely gotten very close in the recent weeks. I think that it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this state develops in the next couple of weeks, as Florida is one of the most important states on this electoral map, especially for President Trump. Really not too much for Joe Biden. I think that if Biden wins Florida, he would win the election. I think if he loses Florida, he still has a very good chance at winning the election. But if President Trump loses Florida, I think he is absolutely done for on election night. In the state of Georgia, currently Trump leads by 1.1%. That's going to go into the Trump column. I believe that the newest poll out does show Trump up 1 point. However, the 3 previous polls all show a dead even tie here in the state of Georgia. 16 electoral votes, pretty large state, and very important for the Trump victory camp. And especially very important for Trump's victory if he were to win on election night. The state of Hawaii, Joe Biden leads here by 27%, so that is going to go into the Biden column as a solid state. The state of Idaho, 4 electoral votes. Trump leads here by 25%. That's going to go into the solid Trump state. This is the first solid state for the president on this electoral map at this point. The state of Illinois, 20 electoral votes. I'm very surprised to see that there still is not a poll out of the state of Illinois. This is Barack Obama's home state. Illinois, very solid Democratic state, so we're going to put this into the solid column for Joe Biden after we fill in these other states, but currently it's going to be in the no data category. The state of Indiana, Donald Trump leads here by 14.5%. This is his Vice President Mike Pence's home state. Very unfortunate, he's only 5 points away from having a solid margin here, but it's going to stay in the likely column for President Trump, and Mike Pence is the former governor of this state, so I think he's going to bring out quite a few voters out in the state of Indiana. But remember, you have to remember that Mike Pence was not too popular of a governor when he served the state of Indiana. The state of Iowa is next. Trump leads here by 0.7%. This is a very close state on the electoral map. I think it's very disappointing to see Trump only leading here by 0.7% if you were a Trump supporter, because the state of Iowa went to the president by over 9% in 2016. That is an over 8% shift to the left from 2016, so definitely very unfortunate for the president here in the state of Iowa. 6 electoral votes, not too important electorally, but I think that if Trump loses the election, I think many other states are going to flip for Joe Biden, and I think that if he loses Iowa, again, he's done for on election night. The state of Kansas, Trump only leads here by 8.9%. There have been quite a few polls out of this state, so it's not just one poll that shows him leading by a very small margin. The state of Kansas has been a struggle for the Republicans in this election cycle. Their Senate race here is pretty close. Barbara Bollier is doing much better than I think a lot of people expected here in the state of Kansas. Kansas, very rural, very conservative, but state of Kansas, currently 6 electoral votes, is polling in favor of President Trump by just 8.9%. A state that has been so solid for the GOP in the past. The state of Kentucky is next, 18.8%. This is going to be the second solid state for Donald Trump. This is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's home state. Kentucky, very conservative, very strong for the GOP. The state of Louisiana, 8 electoral votes. President Trump leads here by 10.7%. That is pretty disappointing for the president numbers that he's seeing here in the South. The South has definitely shifted much more to the left compared to 2016, so Louisiana is only going to be in the likely column for the president. Next, we have the state of Maine. Very interesting races here. The Maine at-large vote is finally solid for Joe Biden. He has surged here in the Maine at-large vote. The first district is also solid. Joe Biden leads by 21%, and then the second district, Joe Biden leads by 1.8%, so that's going to fall under the tilt category in the state of Maine. The state of Minnesota is not Minnesota, the state of Michigan. Minnesota is next. The state of Michigan, Joe Biden leads by 6.9%. So on this electoral map, Michigan has fallen from its likely to a lean categorization. It is now under 7% in favor of Joe Biden by just 0.1%. So Michigan is no longer a likely state according to the polling data, but I think that Joe Biden nonetheless is going to flip the state back, and I do think that he's going to rebuild the blue wall that Trump was able to get over in 2016. The state of Minnesota, 10 electoral votes. This is a state that Clinton carried by 1.5%. This is this state with the longest Democratic voting streak in the entire country. The only state that did not go to Ronald Reagan in 1984, besides the District of Columbia, which has never voted for the Republican Party. But the state of Minnesota currently is polling in favor of Joe Biden by 8.8%, so that's going to make Minnesota a likely state. A couple weeks ago, there were a lot of stories about how Minnesota was going to be very close and how this state might actually go to Trump, but now I think that the new polls have definitely destroyed that theory. The state of Minnesota is going to be retained by the Democratic Party, and it's going to continue its streak for voting blue. This was the only blue wall state that went to Clinton in 2016, and in 2020, I do not think that is going to change. It's going to vote Democratic once again. The state of Mississippi is next, 6 electoral votes. Another very disappointing numbers for President Trump out of the state as well. Another likely state in the South. The state of Mississippi currently polling in favor of President Trump by 11.7%. What you have to remember here is that all of these states are basically solid for the president. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas were all solid states for the president in 2016. And Kansas and Alaska was almost solid. It was around 14.4%, so it was at least likely, a very, very strong likely state. Now it's in the lean category. Indiana was solid, of course. Iowa was likely, so a lot of steps down for the president on this electoral map. The state of Missouri, Trump leads here by 6.7%. Another solid state is now going to become a lean state, joining the states of Arkansas and Alaska. And the state of Montana, another solid state from 2016. A lot of the solid states are no longer solid for the president anymore. The state of Montana, Trump leads here by 8%. That's going to be a likely state. These numbers are actually not too bad for the president out of this state. And then the state of Nebraska is next. There's no data for the at-large vote currently. However, the first district is polling in favor of President Trump by just 2%. That's going to go into the likely column for the president, while the second district is polling in favor of Joe Biden by 6.5%. This is a district that Hillary Clinton lost in 2016, one that Trump was able to pick up 4 years ago, and Biden's now doing better in the 2nd district of Nebraska than Trump is doing in the 1st district of Nebraska. The 3rd district is currently, there's no data out of 3rd district at this current moment, so it's going to be yellow on this map. For now, the state of Nevada, Joe Biden leads here by 6.5%, so that's going to go into the lean Biden column. This is a little bit down from a couple weeks ago, however not too significant. He was only up at around 7% a couple weeks ago. The state of New Hampshire, another state that is very close to becoming likely for the former vice president. Currently, Joe Biden leads here by 6.9%, so that is going to go into the lean Biden column, but very barely going to go into the lean Biden column. The state of New Jersey, Joe Biden leads here by 19.2%, definitely going to be solid for the former vice president. And then the state of New Mexico, Joe Biden leads by 12.8%. That's going to join the state of Colorado as another likely state on this electoral map. And then the state of New York, Joe Biden leads by 26.9%. That is very good for the former vice president. State of New York, 29 electoral votes, same electoral vote count as the state of Florida. Very important for any Democratic victory. So that's good. Joe Biden, 26.9% in the lead here in the state of New York. The state of North Carolina, Biden still leads in the state by 1.3%. I do not think that North Carolina is going to be as solid for Biden as I once thought. I did think that North Carolina could have been a likely state just a couple weeks ago. However, due to all this mail-in balloting and, Trump calling fraud, I do think that North Carolina could really go both ways. However, as of now, Joe Biden has led in the state of North Carolina during the entire election cycle. Donald Trump has never been ahead in this state, so that is one of the main reasons why I continue to categorize the state of North Carolina as going to the former vice president. In North Carolina, I do think that if all votes were counted correctly, as I like to say a lot, Joe Biden would carry this state. But of course, there's a lot of voter suppression and stuff like that occurs all, in the South, basically everywhere, to get minorities not to vote and suppress their vote. So next we have the state of North Dakota. President Trump leads by 21%. Definitely solid. 21% isn't even that great. It's pretty abysmal for a Republican in the state of North Dakota. But the state of Ohio is even worse. Joe Biden now leads in the state of Ohio by 1.1%. This might have been a state that Barack Obama carried in 2008 and 2012. But the demographics in the Rust Belt, they are shifting, especially Ohio. Ohio is moving more and more to the right. In 2016, the state of Ohio voted for President Trump by 8%. The national average was in favor of Clinton by 2%. So the state of Ohio voted 10 points to the left of the national average. So this might be the bellwether state, but it no longer matters. The state of Ohio is no longer voting with the majority of the American people. So, it might still continue to be a bellwether if it goes to Joe Biden and he wins this election, but it really does not matter anymore. The state of Ohio is no longer the bellwether state, in my opinion. It really no longer is a good forecast of the election. It voted 10 points off compared to 2016. So that is definitely, not good for Ohio's bellwether status, but it really doesn't even matter. It's not like Ohio voters are coming out and telling people how to vote. So next we have the state of Oklahoma. President Trump leads here by 23.4%. Another solid GOP state. This is only the 4th solid state for the Republican Party on this map. So that is pretty surprising to see, honestly. Kind of amusing to take a look at. But the state of Oregon, Biden leads here by 12%. There's only been one poll out of this state, and that's definitely an outlier. Joe Biden definitely is going to win this state by a solid margin. So 12%, I'm just going to put it in because that is what technically the polling data does show. The state of Pennsylvania, 20 electoral votes. Joe Biden leads by 4.9%. It's going to join Michigan in the lean Biden column. I think that what we can see here as we're going to categorize Wisconsin just a few moments. I think that the state of Pennsylvania is becoming weaker and weaker for Joe Biden, but I do think that he will be able to carry this state at the end of the day by a very small margin on election night. But Pennsylvania is doing okay for Joe Biden. He's really not expanding his lead too much, but President Trump has been very, very incrementally, very little, one step at a time, he has been improving his numbers in Pennsylvania, but we're going to see how it plays out on election night. So after the state of Pennsylvania, we have the state of Rhode Island. there is no data out of this state. Very small state, very solid for the Democratic Party. I'm going to fill it in for Joe Biden in just a couple of moments. But the state of Rhode Island, there's currently no data out of this state. And yes, I did forget the state of Massachusetts, so I apologize if you noticed that. State of Massachusetts really doesn't matter. It's going to be solid for Joe Biden no matter what, plus 34.3%. I don't know how I always forget some states in these kind of videos, but state of Massachusetts is very solid for the Democratic Party. And yes, this has put Joe Biden over 270 electoral votes. He now sits at 278 electoral votes, according to the polling numbers. So following the state of Massachusetts and the state of Rhode Island, we have the state of South Carolina. Trump leads by 7.5%. This is actually a step up. So South Carolina is now no longer in the lean Trump column. It is now a likely Trump state. The state of South Dakota, there is no data out of this state at this given moment. And then the state of Texas, Trump leads here by not Texas, the state of Tennessee, sorry about that. The state of Tennessee, Trump leads by 12.3%, and I read my notes wrong, but the state of Tennessee is no longer solid for the president either, joining the states of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and South Carolina along the Bible Belt that are no longer solid for the GOP. Next we have the state of Texas. Trump leads it by 1.7%. That's going to go into the tilt category for President Trump. I think his numbers have dropped here since a couple of days ago. But Florida, Trump has pretty consistently been leading in this state by, let's say, around 1 to 2% in the last couple of weeks. I don't think Biden has led since the beginning of the month of August. So a good sign for President Trump that he's leading in a state that he won by 8% in 2016. But then again, he did win this state by 8% 4 years ago. So still, it's a huge step down for the president. He's only leading here by 1/4 of the lead that he won with on election night just 4 years ago. And then the state of Utah, Trump leads by 12.4%. It's going to go into the likely Trump column, no longer solid as we saw last time. But the state of Utah, 12.4%. I think Donald Trump is definitely going to win this state, but there are a lot of people in the state of Utah that are not too supportive of the current president. The state of Vermont, Joe Biden leads by 23%. Bernie Sanders' is home state. State of Vermont going to be solid for the Democratic Party, as it always is. The state of Virginia, Joe Biden leads by 10.1% in Virginia, so that's going to go into the likely Biden column as well. The state of Maryland, I also seem to have forgotten this state as well. I guess I just went with Maine and I just skipped 2 states, but the state of Maryland, Biden leads by 28.3%, so I apologize if you guys saw that and realized that as well. Following the state of Maryland, we have the state of not West Virginia, the state of Washington. State of Washington, currently Joe Biden leads by 24.5%, so a solid Biden state on this electoral map. Now we have the state of West Virginia, 5 electoral votes. West Virginia currently polling in favor of the president by 36%, one of the most conservative states in the entire country. I would say second to the state of Wyoming, which there's currently no data out of, and then the state of Wisconsin, currently Joe Biden leads here by 6.9%. So joining Michigan in the 6.9 point column, I guess. These 2 states both polling in favor of Joe Biden by 6.9%, very close to being a likely state. I think that in the future we're going to see these numbers go up for Joe Biden. And so this is the 2020 electoral map as of right now, 5 weeks and 1 day before the election. I'm going to be doing these every week so we can have the last one out of this sort of election map just 1 day before the 2020 presidential election. And I'm going to fill in these no data states right now. Illinois solid for the Democrats, Washington D.C. of course, Rhode Island as well, and then the states of, or not states, but the Nebraska at-large vote, the Nebraska's 3rd district, South Dakota, and Wyoming, all solid for President Trump. So currently President Trump sits at 185 electoral votes to Joe Biden with 353 electoral votes, according to the latest polling averages. Tomorrow I will have my actual prediction out, so that's going to be a little bit different from this map. But tomorrow I will be releasing my actual prediction, so I have my actual prediction out on election night for you guys. So make sure you guys comment on whether you guys like this donut here on the side. I would like to thank you guys all so much for watching this video. Leave a like in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel if you have not, with the notification bell on so you do not miss out on my daily election content. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, along with any video suggestions for videos you'd like to see in the future, and I will see you in the next video.